have someone bring you you stand up, excuse me, and we'll have someone bring you a microphone. We very much appreciate it. So with that, I think we can open it up to questions.
Well, I was actually working on the Star Tours project before Captain EO, and it was out of working on Star Tours that Captain EO evolved. I'm not sure exactly how long it's been, but it's been a couple years, I think. Hasn't it, Marty?
Yeah. 2 years, George.
2 years and 3 months.
That's day one, right, Michael?
Right in the middle of the camera section, perhaps.
Exhilarated. I think it's, it's kind of beyond Space Mountain, as far as I'm concerned. Well, it is like that, but it's a little bit more adventurous than that. Most airline simulators don't have the problems that Rex, our pilot, has, considering this is his first flight. I think it does. First time I ever wrote it, and it was a very crude. It was the first time we got the whole thing put together and all the pieces there, and a little tiny video monitor operating it. I was very excited when I first wrote it, and I said, this is the same sensation as the Matterhorn, the same sensation as Space Mountain, only it's better.
Well, what's great about it is, other than the actual thrill of riding it, it's a combination of the Disney creative forces with George and his creative forces. It's the combination of creativity and new technology. And when you add technology as one element and creativity as another, I think you get 1 and 1 equaling 4, frankly. And the ability for Disney to be the leader in not only creativity but in technology, and the marriage of the two, to me, is a great accomplishment. And I believe it is the beginning of that kind of new thinking in anything that you want the public to get excited about.
What, you mean the danger factor or the excitement factor? Well, I don't think there ever was a danger factor, because the first thing the guys at Imagineering did was test the whole thing and do the safety specs on it and determine that it was absolutely not dangerous at all. Because we had a few discussions about this. On the thrill factor part, that's one of those things where there was a lot of discussion about how exciting should it be, because it can get a little bit more exciting than some people would like. And I think we found a medium ground that is very exciting, but isn't going to have most of the people walking off sick.
Okay. We are considering whether or not we're going to open it at the Magic Kingdom or at the Studio Tour in Florida. But I suspect at some point Star Tours will end up in Florida. Well, one of the great things about the technology, and George can speak, and Marty can speak much more specific about it, is that technology gives you the ability to reprogram it. It's not as easy as just shooting a new film. When you go through it, you'll see that the humor, the pre-show, the characters that have a built into the American consciousness, all of that culture and history that George created with the Star Wars character are in that show. So you just cannot shoot a new film and have a new ride. And that will be the mistake that other people, I think, make as they use this kind of technology. But yes, we don't have to build a new building. We don't have to do a new motion-based system.
But I have a lot of good ideas for new entertainments using this technology, I'll tell you. I like it. I've been approached to do a lot of amusement parks, to develop them from scratch and to become a part of them. And I've always felt that there's really only one first-class amusement park operation, and this is it. You know, this is the Rolls-Royce of this genre. And when I did something, I really wanted to make sure that it was done right, and it was maintained right, and it was operated correctly. And this is the only place in the world where that can happen.
I would say about this ride in association with Lucasfilm and Disney. I think, first of all, Walt, in his lifetime, dealt with a lot of creative people. If you'll remember, in 1955, the moon ride opened, and Dr. von Braun was part of that. I think he'd be extremely proud that a tremendously creative guy like George Lucas has joined forces with our Disney Imagineers. And he would be very, very happy with the response to Star Tours, because it truly is unbelievable.
So the other thing, Dick, is Walt loved to find technology out there and adapt it. That's how audio animatronics happened in the first place. I was telling the story earlier that actually the being able to program and play back our shows, opening the curtains, opening the doors, what the figures do, was actually made possible by a piece of technology originally invented for shooting off the missiles on a Polaris submarine. And when it became declassified, we adapted it to program and play back our figures in the audio animatronics. That's the big breakthrough at the time. I think this is the same kind of idea, and I think that was, Walt did that so often in adapting technology for a whole new purpose.
You should understand that Walt Disney was a motion picture director and writer and producer, and when Jeffrey and I came to Disney, our background is in television and motion pictures, and if you saw the way the Walt Disney Imagineering group, and by the way, they're not a group, they're a series of very creative individuals, the way they develop rides is through the storyboard process, that when Jeff and I came here, and Jeff particularly encouraged George, who didn't need any encouragement, to come work with the Disney people, it really was an evolution of the filmmaking process into a amusement environment. And I think Walt Disney would be very happy that the gem of new ideas is based on the ideas of entertaining people through film and television and so forth, as adapted here at Disneyland. But I think based on the 9,000 people who should be in school as we speak, who are out on Main Street, we probably will be taking it to Florida. We very much at Disney would like to do motion pictures with George. George is extremely prolific, and there's there's very little competition, as George said, in the amusement park, Rolls-Royce, to use your words, business. There's a lot of competition in the motion picture business. So we are just not letting Jeffrey ever get more than 20 yards away from George, and hopefully, hopefully before the day is over, we'll have a film. Well, how do we answer that?
Well,
the very existence of the Star Tours attraction is a marketing of the Star Wars merchandise. We do not participate. I mean, that's George's. But I think one of the reasons that he was extremely willing to use the characters, because we really went to get George. We didn't go to get Star Wars. George wanted to use his characters, and I'm speaking now for him, and he should speak for himself. The very existence of it is an enhancement of the characters.
characters will be sold in the parks and marketed in the parks.
Two things of our interest. I can answer that. Yes, the ride costs more than Disneyland cost when it opened. And the second thing you should know is that Disneyland made more money in October, November, and December than the park cost when it was built. So, so does a hamburger. So everything is relative.
Part of this is pushing the technology. Actually, Marty can probably have some words on this, but it's we decided to take one thing at a time before we try to do everything in one big lump.
I was just talking to a lady down here from the UK earlier. She sat in the back row just a few minutes ago in the show, and her glasses were thrown off. And that would be difficult in 3D if we were doing it. So
she thought it was in 3D.
There's also a conceptual issue, which is the fact that you're in a spaceship and there's a front window, and 3D would sort of defy that front window effect. When you see the ride now, there are things like ice crystals and things that break against the front window, and when they break, they splatter water across the front window and things like that. If you had things coming actually into the ship, in this particular concept, I don't think it would work.
Well, we definitely want to continue to be in business with Mr. Lucas, and we certainly are looking every day at Tomorrowland, which you have to be very careful about keeping it futuristic and the like. So the answer to the questions, I guess, is both. Yes, although space is just a piece of the future, an important part of it, but just a piece of it.
Exhibit.
You wouldn't believe if I told you Mission to Mars was our most popular ride. We have been talking about Mission to Mars. George particularly has been talking about it. Although when we planned to put Star Tours in the location where the ride to inner space was, and I proudly told the New York Times that we were going to retire inner space because it wasn't up to the technological world that we now lived in, I got killed with the love of inner space. So I don't want to say Mission to Mars is going to leave tomorrow, but it is certainly a targeted attraction to update.
I take you to Fantasyland and other areas.
Well, there are not that many. I'd say yes, except for I can't think of very many people that are in that league. I don't want to have each of us over-compliment each other, but there aren't that many people that did what Walt Disney does or did and what George does and what a couple of other, I mean, it's just not a long list. But as people become, I mean, as we identify, well, hopefully as we identify very young creative people, we'll bring them into our Imagineering company and they'll work with us in WED, because WED is a group of these kinds of people. George happens to be an extraordinary individual in this area. So we're always open. We're never closed.
Yes, we did. I mean, I've had a lot of fun over at WED with the Imagineers. We basically things are giant brainstorming sessions to begin with. We sit around a table and throw out lots of ideas, and it's a lot of fun and it's real exciting. And as things evolve, then we have a good collaborative relationship.
I'd like to say on behalf of our group at Imagineering that Michael said earlier, 1 + 1 = 4. I think working with George and the people from ILM and our group at Imagineering, I think 1 + 1 probably added up to more than 4. And it was such a wonderful creative collaboration, the give and take, the flow of ideas. Tony Baxter and Tom Fitzgerald and the rest of our group, they really worked so well with George, and I think something magic came out of it that was beyond what either organization could do by itself.
My daughter, and playing tennis, and I don't know, going to the movies. Just my things that I enjoy. I don't think are that much different than what most people enjoy. Designing a ride is very much like designing a movie. You do what you like, and you hope everybody else will like it. And then other considerations come into it when you get in a more practical state of dealing with the day-to-day problems. But I think the original spark is something that a group of us sitting in a room find exciting.
I think I think at this point with Disneyland, with Walt Disney World, with Tokyo Disneyland, I think we have a pretty good sense of what the audience is looking for and enjoys. We can see it every day. We can feel it every day. And I think that's a tremendous benefit to us at this point in time.
Okay. Marty?
Well, I think somebody already asked us today, how do you top this? I think that's a fantastic way to start. I mean, how do you top the best thing you've done? And that's, I think, what we all try to do the next time out. We say, we did that, that's yesterday. We're already on to something else. And I think that's the fun of creating. And we hope the next one will be as exciting, more exciting, different than this one.
I think part of that question is answered by the fact that the rides here are created. They're not just bought off the shelf. And a lot of the roller coasters and rail rides are basically bought off the shelf.
I would like to say just one thing. And the Wall Street Journal did an article on the Walt Disney Imagineers. I think George would be the first one to say this. We really don't want to say that much about them because it's proprietary, and we have a place where they do their work. But they are individuals. Marty mentioned several of them by name, and I see some of them around here. They spend every day thinking up ways to entertain people, going around the world looking at new technologies, figuring out how to adapt those technologies to a creative form. I was surprised at how selflessly they embraced George, and the meetings with George Lucas were, just the meetings with a lot of creative people in a room. They respect George because of what he's done in his movies, and he respects them for what they've done in these parks. And I really want to underline because we're all up here and have our own exposure, but these guys with George, but these guys in all the things we do all over the world are unbelievable. And I hope nobody ever learns their names so they'll go and try to steal them from us, so I won't mention them anymore. But they really are fabulous.
I must say also that it's, in the discussion of what Marty said, it's not just, wasn't just the Imagineers and myself who were working. It was also my organization, Industrial Light and Magic, and a lot of other people who also contributed. It was really the matching of two companies as much as it was individuals. And there was a lot of people, the effects supervisors, Dennis Murin and Warren Franklin of ILM, and all the other guys of ILM. I don't know, there's a whole raft of them here today too, who also contributed enormously to this whole project to make it work. And it was really a melding of two different companies and organizations and creative organizations. It wasn't just, me coming in and giving some ideas to a few guys in a room.